and welcome to Channel StageONE. My name is Allison Sims and I am the Prop Master here at StageONE, and currently we are recording in our production studio, which is where we make all of our wonderful shows, where we build our sets and our costumes and our props. We do it all here in this space. So today we are going to start a fun series about how we make things. So today we are going to be making Max's crown from Where the Wild Things Are. And we're going to do that with hopefully things you have at your home. You're going to need an Amazon box, which I have one right here. You're going to need a fabric tape measure. And if you, a lot of these are in sewing kits that already exist in your home. You can ask your parents, maybe they have a sewing kit and maybe they have one of these. If they don't, that's totally fine too. You can do it with a piece of string and a ruler because we're going to measure our heads. You're going to need some water. You're going to need some regular old school glue. You're going to need some tape, some scissors, and stuff to decorate your crown. So this should be a really fun craft. It's going to take you 2 days to do this craft though, because the first day we're going to have some major dry time because we're going to do a little bit of paper macheing. So the first thing, so let's get started. As always, make sure you have your parents' permission to do this. It's going to be a great activity to do with your parents. Anybody can do this activity. So let's get started. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to take your Amazon box and you're going to want to take all of the tape and any stickers. You're going to want to take all of that off. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that. You're just going to pull it off and you can toss these away. And it's going to be okay if you don't get all of it off, but you want to get the majority of it off. Okay, there we go. So now, oh, I missed a couple. Pull those off. Okay, so now if you look at the box, there's probably going to be a seam where your box is. So like mine's right here, and I'm going to take a pair of scissors and I'm just going to cut it. So my box is nice and long like this. So now we're going to stop with our box and it's going to be ready for us to use, and we're going to measure the circumference of our head. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your fabric tape measure if you have one. If not, you'll take a string, and I'll demonstrate both examples. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set it at the center of my forehead, and then I'm literally going to hold it with one finger and wrap the rest of it around my head. And then hold my finger where they match up and see how it measures. My head is 23 inches big. I don't know if that's a big head or not. You'll have to tell me. So I need my crown to be 23 inches long. If you want to do this, if you don't have a fabric tape measure, you can do this with a piece of string. So I've got a piece of string, and I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the fabric tape measure. I'm going to put that at the center of my head. I'm going to wrap it around my forehead until they meet, and grab that end. And then with just a ruler, you're going to set the ruler down. And starting at the end, you're going to measure the same thing. So it's obviously over 12 feet, or 12 inches, excuse me. You're going to grab that point. And yeah, it's 23 inches with a ruler and the tape measure. So you just keep measuring until you know your circumference. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the box. And with your ruler, or with your tape measure, you're going to start at the end, and you're going to measure out the 23 inches. That for me, whatever yours is, that's what you're going to measure out. The circumference of your head, you're going to measure in a straight line. You're going to grab a pencil and you're going to mark it. Now in making this crown, we're gonna be adding a couple of layers of paper mache and glue and maybe some decorations. So maybe you wanna give it a little more extra room so it's not sitting so tight to your head. So with mine being 23 inches, I'm gonna go ahead and give it an extra inch. So I'm gonna actually measure it at 24 inches. So that's what I've done. I would also give yourself, you know, a half an inch to a full inch extra so that it'll sit on your head a little better because we're going to be adding a couple of other things. So I've taken a measure and mine actually lands on a seam. So again, I'm just going to cut straight through this seam. I'm going to set that excess on the side. And so what I have left is looking like this, just square box. So from here, we're gonna really kind of let the box dictate how we do the rest of the crown. So what I want is this continuous thing of cardboard to be the like base of the crown. And then the upper part is gonna be, let's call them like I don't know what they're called, the like points of the crown. So that means we don't need these excess pieces. So we're gonna go ahead and just cut these off right now. Go ahead and do that. I'm going to set that to the side because we don't need it. Set that to the side. So what you have left is this. So now we're going to take this upper part, these two upper parts, and we're going to make the points of the crown. You want to keep in mind, because you see in my box that I have like a break. Well, that's where a natural break for some points are going to be. So when you're spacing out your points, you want to keep that in mind, that there's a natural break in the box. So we're going to keep that in mind. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our ruler and our pencil. And I'm also letting the box naturally dictate where my points are. So I'm going to have my points be the height of this flap, these two flaps. So that means I'm going to make my points that height, and it's going to look really tall and really great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my ruler and my pencil, and with that natural seam, I'm going to set my ruler down. And it's going to be about, at least on my box, an inch or 5 inches and a half. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that. I'm going to do it right at the edge of my box. And then I'm going to go to the net. I'm going to go from where I just made that straight line. I'm going to go over 2 inches and a half. So that's going to be the base of my point. And then I'm going to go ahead and match. I'm going to go ahead and meet that other point of the line I just made. So what I've got is a triangle coming off my box, or off the flap. So the important thing I really think to remember is less about the angle of your point and more about the width at the bottom. That's what's gonna make your crown look good. Because if you look in the Where the Wild Things Are book, his crown is kind of, looks like he made it. And that's what we wanna look for, is that our crown looks like a kid made it, because you're making it. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do another one of the triangles. So starting at the next, I made this point. So at this point, that I'm gonna naturally start my next line, okay? So your points are connected. And again, I'm gonna make it about 5 inches and a half. And just go straight up. Then I'm gonna go 2.5 inches over to make my next point. And then I'm gonna make those 2 points meet with my next line. And you're just making triangles at this point. We're gonna do that again all the way through the box. So I'm at the point where my box breaks. So what I'm gonna do is, it may not be 2.5 inches. Actually it is, it's pretty good. So, but even if it's not 2.5 inches, you're gonna wanna go ahead and make that triangle naturally break at that point so that we don't have something funky going on at the base. We just want it to make it look like a triangle. So I've done 4 on this side, and I'm gonna go ahead and finish out the rest. All right, so I'm on to my last triangle, and it is actually gonna end up being 3 inches just because that's how the box worked out. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up. Okay, so now I have these points and they are ready to be cut out. So with some scissors, you're gonna go in and you're gonna start cutting out your points for your crown. Go ahead and pull and see we've got the beginnings of a crown. So let's go ahead and cut out the rest. I'm using some pretty hefty scissors, and with cardboard you're probably going to need some hefty scissors, so this is a great time to be supervised by your parents, because cardboard is obviously thicker than paper, so you're going to need a good pair of scissors. Now sometimes when you're cutting down and you're coming to this point, the way our stuff is, it may be you don't want to snip into the base of the crown. That's okay, you're pretty close that you can just kind of yank it out. All right, so now what we've got is the base of our crown, and as you can see, we've got this great tall base and then our points coming up. So now what you're gonna do is one of the cardboard has ridging inside of it. I said that weird, didn't I? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna want to curve our box so we can make a crown. So what you're gonna start is on a flat surface. You're just gonna start slowly with your hands, just rolling it up so that you can make a circle with it. And you're gonna do that with the base, and you're not gonna wanna try and bend your pointy edges, your points too much, because you don't want to tear those or rip those off. But slowly with your hands, you can finish out making it. So if you just keep doing that, your cardboard now is ready to make a circle, like that. So you're gonna have those 2 edges meet, and I'm gonna use tape, but if you have hot glue, you could totally use that. Tape just seems to be easier for me, and I think most people have tape. If you have duct tape, packing tape, that's fine. I'm using something that we use in theater called gaff tape, but it's totally fine if you use packing tape or duct tape. So I've pulled off a piece that is a little longer than this main part, because I'm gonna put it at the very top, like that, on one side, and then I'm gonna go ahead and roll it around, and I'm gonna have these 2 edges meet on the tape, like so. I'm gonna press it down, and then when I made it a little longer, I did it so I could roll that down, so that there is your crown. So this is your cardboard crown. Looks pretty good as it is, but we're gonna do some extra stuff to make it look even better. So look, if you can see, it should be ready to go, and it fits great on my head. There's a little extra rooms for when we add the paper mache. So the next thing we're gonna do is paper mache. Now paper mache can get and is messy, so this is a great time If this part of the craft took place inside, maybe it's time for you to go outside if the weather's nice, and you can do this outside because we are gonna get glue and water on our hands. If you can't go outside, please try and lay down something to protect your tables. My table was meant to be made messy, so that's why I'm not putting anything down. So right now, all you need is water and some regular school glue. My glue happens to be clear, but if yours is white, it's totally fine. I have a lot of white glue, but I also have a small bottle. You can use any type of white glue you have. So the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a little bowl, and I'm gonna pour in like 1 to 1. So you want half glue, half water. And I don't really measure my paper mache, but if you feel the need to, you can. But I've got water in this old Folgers club, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pour it in. And I've got my school glue, and I'm gonna pour that in. And then I'm just gonna go in with a dowel rod, a stick, whatever, and stir. It's gonna splash out because my container is pretty small. And what I really like to do is I like to feel for the consistency. So if it feels too watery, you're gonna add glue. If it feels too glue, you're gonna add water. Right now mine feels a little too watery, so I'm gonna add a little more glue. There we go. That feels good. So now, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna wash my hands a little in this water. I have pre-cut up strips of newspaper, and we're gonna paper mache. I love to paper mache. I think the feeling on my hands is amazing, and it feels slimy and gross and weird, and I think it's so fun. So I hope you do too. So like I said, I've just taken some old newspaper and I've cut it into strips. If you don't have old newspaper, because we live in the digital age, you can use just regular paper. If you have construction paper or craft paper, you can use that as well. And so what you're gonna do is I cut into strips, and then from me, I like to then tear the strips into the size I want. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna dip your newspaper into the glue and water mixture, and then I like to put it between my 2 fingers and just slide the excess off. And I just start going on my crown. So what I'm doing first is I'm gonna do the base first, and then we're gonna start working on the points, because when we get to the points, with the water and glue mixture, we're gonna start curving it so that they look, so the points seem to be like curved down, and it's gonna look really cool. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do the base real quick. I am also going ahead and covering up where we taped the box. The great thing about the paper mache and is that when it gets in contact with the cardboard, it's going to help you shape your crown into a bit of more of a circle. Ooh. Do people still paper mache in school? I hope they do. That's where I learned how to paper mache. We had to do whole projects with paper mache. The other great thing about doing paper mache on the cardboard, it means your crown's gonna last a little longer, because once it dries, this glue will be like another protective layer over your crown. So it won't tear as much, and it'll just make it a little stiffer and a little ready to go. So that you too can be king of the wild things. So as you can see, I've done basically the full one side, and I'm going to keep going and finish the other side, and then we'll get started on the points. Starting with the points, I'm going to start at the base and work my way up. And then once we get up towards the top, what you're going to do, and you've covered the top, you're going to start making it curve out away from, let's say, your head, the head part. So you're just going to slowly start to bend it. And see how it's making this curve on my crown? That's exactly the look we want to go for. So this is the look you want it to go with, is that it's curving down, so you just manipulated it with your fingers once you got the paper mache on there. So you're going to go ahead and do that with all of your points, and they don't have to look, you don't actually want them to look exactly the same. You want it to look like a little variety. You want it to look a little off kilter because that's what it looks like in the book, and that's what's really fun in life. All right, same thing with this next piece. I've got it all completely wrapped up, and I'm just gonna start with my hands, slowly bending it out so that it'll curve out. All right, so I have all of the outside covered. Now, if you want to make it even more sturdy, you can paper mache the total inside of the crown. It's not, you don't have to, but it's also not the worst idea in the world. So you're gonna go ahead and we're gonna let this sit overnight. So like I said, this is a 2-day craft. So we're gonna let this sit overnight. When I let the first crown I made sit overnight, I went ahead and wrapped my crown around something circular so it would kind of keep the shape better. So the bucket I was using for water, I went ahead and placed my crown around to kind of keep the shape, to help it shape up a little. So right now we're gonna go ahead and clean up our paper mache. So I don't need all of these newspapers anymore. I'm gonna go ahead and set those to the side. And I desperately need to wash my hands, so I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna go wash my hands for 20 seconds. And I will be back and we will start decorating our crown. Thanks, guys. Okay, so I am back from washing my hands and cleaning up my space a little. As you can see, I still have my crown and it is drying. I made a crown the other day and this is what it looks like. It's nice and sturdy and the points are still looking very good and the way I want it to. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through with my scissors. And really, probably we do this with your hands, but any paper that maybe didn't wrap all the way around your points or just kind of sticking out, I'm gonna go ahead and snip those off so I have a bit more of a cleaner look. So yeah, just snipping some paper that maybe didn't stay all the way. Now, if you didn't use such quite a heavy print of a newspaper, you could probably just go ahead and color with markers or crayons or whatever you want to color. You can go ahead and do that. I, however, used a pretty print-heavy newspaper, so I'm going to go ahead and paint my crown. In the book, Max's crown is like a beautiful neutral gold color, but because this is my crown and I want to make it my crown, I'm going to make it a blue color. So I'm going to go ahead and shake my paint a little and go ahead and paint my crown. But like I said, if you don't have paint in your house, that's fine. You maybe have crayons or markers. You can color your, you can decorate your crown any way you want. That's totally fine. There are no wrong answers when it comes to decorating. So I'm gonna do a nice bright blue. And then while we let this paint dry, once I get it all on, we're gonna go ahead and make some fur fringe. Normally when I am crafting or making props for the shop, I love to listen to music while I do that. What is your favorite song you want to listen to while you make things? So I'm seeing that like I maybe missed a little snip, so I'm just keeping my scissors nearby to go ahead and cut off the paper that I don't want. When you're if you do decide to paint, or when you're even paper macheing, you want to make sure you're wearing clothes that you're not scared to get a little dirty in. Our painter at the shop always says, all clothes become paint clothes eventually. So you need to be sure you're wearing clothes that you don't mind getting paint on. That's why I have my apron on. Or that you're not scared to get a little white like glue and water on. If you're not painting, but you are still paper macheing. So I've got the whole outside of it painted blue. I'm gonna go ahead and just do the points. I'm gonna paint the insides of the points as well. But I'm not gonna go like into where the base of the crown is. I'm just painting the points. Okay, so I've gotten the inside of my points painted, I've gotten the base painted, so now I'm going to go around and double check to make sure that everything that needs paint. So like maybe the edges of the points didn't get painted, and maybe there's just some that you like breeze through. So you always want to go back and kind of double check that you got everything. Okay, I'm thinking that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and set my paint to the side. I'm going to let my crown dry. So in the book, and also the crown prop we made for the actual storytellers, there is a great piece of fur that goes around the base of your crown. It goes around it, and it looks really, really cool. I'm assuming you don't have fur at your house. I certainly don't. So I thought another great substitute is we're going to make some fur with some construction paper. So I've got some blue construction paper. And what we're gonna do with our blue construction paper is I'm gonna go ahead and get my ruler back out and my pencil, and I'm gonna measure 2 inches, and we're gonna make 2-inch strips out of our construction paper. So you're gonna go ahead and take it and just mark your 2 inches on your piece of paper. And I like to do it in like 3 spots on a piece of paper. So I like to mark it, and then I'm gonna take my ruler and use my straight edge and basically connect those dots all the way along the piece of paper. So, and then we're gonna do that again so that my sheet of paper is made of 2-inch strips. And again, I'm gonna mark in 3 different spots of the 2 inches. And I'm gonna take my ruler and use my straight edge and connect those 3 dots. And we're going to do that all the way across our construction paper. So with my scissors, I'm then going to go ahead and cut my strips. All right, now with my strips, what I'm going to do is to make fur, if you will. I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to basically fringe these strips of pieces of paper. So I'm only going to cut maybe a 1/2 inch. And I'm just going to start snipping all along this strip of piece of paper. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You're just snipping with just the tips of your scissors. So you're going to do it down one side, and then you're going to flip it around, and you're going to do down the other side. And you're going to want to leave about a 1/2 inch between, so you have something solid to glue. All right, so now with your fringed piece of construction paper, you're going to want to fold it up. And not like a harsh fold, but it's, again, just a pinch of your fingers. You're just going to pinch the fringe. So that there's just some, you can feel that there's just a bend and a little bit of flow to your fringe. Instead of it all just sort of folding, it's just going straight out. kind of looks like that. And then with your white school glue or hot glue, you could probably even use tape, but I'm going to use white school glue. And the tape, you would just, you know, use that old trick where you make it a circle. But with your white school glue, you're just going to go down that center. This is why we kept that ½ inch center. You're just going to go down and make a line with your glue. I'm going to see, and I think my paint, while my paint is still a little tacky, you might want to let this dry a little longer, but for the purposes of this, I'm going to say it's pretty okay. You're just going to start at one edge. You're going to set it down. You're just kind of following along the edge of your crown. So because my crown needed to be 23 inches and a piece of paper is about 11 inches, I need 2 strips of that to make my whole crown fit. So again, I'm going to take that 2-inch strip and I'm going to make it fringe again. All right, I've got another fringe and the same thing. I'm going to take my glue and it's going to go straight down the center. And then kind of starting and matching. I might even just like kind of a little bit overlay on the other piece of fringe that's already on there. I'm gonna a little bit overlay. I'm just again gonna follow. Follow the edge of my crown. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to fold down my fringe, and I've already placed it. So if you do that, that's totally fine. You can go ahead and do it while it's already fringed. So you're just gonna pinch it down. All right, and there we have it, is our max crown. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one on my head. So there's our max crown. I hope you had fun doing this craft. I think that this is so much fun. I want to thank you guys for watching Channel StageONE. We will see you all here tomorrow at 10, where they will be doing a storytellers of Where the Wild Things Are, and then we will be posting a storytellers at 3 of the Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus. If you enjoyed this, we are going to bring you fun and fresh content each week. So if you like what you see, please support StageONE by donating at the link below in the post. And remember, theater's for everyone. Thank you guys so much. Please share and post your pictures if you made a max crown. I would love, love, love to see them. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day.